Hello, it's me, French Ted, and we are here for a very special episode, the first of its kind. It is our season finale all out preview show. So I'm going to try not to waffle too much on because I believe we've got 13 matches, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 matches. 13 matches announced. That's not me hinting that there's going to be more matches. There might be, but who knows. So this is super big, biggest show of the year for us. We've built however many months we've been doing AEW, or April to September. So yeah, it's almost half a year. May, June, July, August. Yeah, almost half a year of build up and shows and title matches and rivalries and firings and hirings and new teams and team disbandings, etc. Has led to AEW All Out, which will be the episode after this, episode 25. So in this episode, I'm just going to run through the card. Some will spend less time with others because not much has happened, but it's mostly just to kind of build a bit of hype around all these matches. And I imagine, like many others do, like I've done this in the past, when I'm watching a TEW series, I might skip to a pay-per-view just to see what's going down. So this is a nice little video for all you guys that have sacked off everything else I've done before and jumped straight in here just to be like, what's French Ted made? This is what I've made and this is what we've built up to. So just to catch everyone up. But yeah, the order of the matches that I am going to be talking through now will be the order of the card. It's highly unlikely this order will change. So yeah, the order I talk about these matches is how you should see it in the next episode. Feel free to call me out if I do it in the wrong order or something, but I'm pretty sure it's going to stay like this. So we have two pre-show matches on the card because I just could not fit them in, or I can't fit them in to the main show. So the first match that will open the show on the pre-show will be the Battle of the Big Boys. Jordan Omos versus Keith Lee. So this is a pretty new kind of rivalry, I'd say. Definitely something that would be super exciting to see in real life, just for the spectacle of it all. But Jordan Omos, since signing, has formed this strange friendship relationship with CM Punk, which led them to become a tag team very briefly. And the reason why they're not really a tag team anymore, or even a competing team, is because of Keith Lee and Bullet Club Gold. In a tag team championship qualifying match, Jay White and Bullet Club Gold costed CM Punk and Jordan Omos of the win, and this sparked a feud between Punk and Bullet Club Gold, and through proxy Jordan Omos as well. So Punk and Jay White is another match on this card that we'll talk about a little bit later, and pretty much has the same narrative. But after a big old tag team kerfuffle match and a huge fight that happened between Omos, Punk and Bullet Club Gold, Omos came down to the ring, squared up to Keith Lee and just said, all out. That's all he said to him. And Keith Lee, nose to chest, because Omos is a freaking giant, Keith Lee nodded and accepted. So that is how this match was created, and that is why these two big boys will be facing off in our pre-show, because unfortunately I just couldn't fit them on. Like this isn't a pre-show level match in my eyes, but if we're looking at the TEW numbers, it probably is. But yeah, so that's Omos, Keith Lee. Remember guys, please leave your predictions down below. Let me know what you think's going to happen, what you think's going to be match of the night, what you think's maybe going to be the worst match of the night, because randomly TEW like to give us a few stinkers. Yeah, let's move on to the next and final pre-show match, which is Nyla Rose against Jade Cargill for the AEW TBS Championship. So this has had a kind of interesting underlying story that hasn't really been at the face of everything, but it's kind of been slowly building throughout the entire series. So Jade Cargill began the series as the TBS champion, and she was just winning squash match after squash match, getting really bad ratings as well. And She was just, undefeated. She was claiming that she was amazing, but she wasn't facing anyone that was of any note or anyone that was very strong or competitive or even, fully signed to AEW. That wasn't until Chris Statlander returned and challenged her and lost in a triple threat match, which included Athena, I believe. Statlander didn't give up. She wanted her rematch, but she wanted to face just Jade because at this time Jade had hired Nyla Rose to be her muscle. So Nyla Rose was getting involved left, right and centre, costing everyone a win except Jade. Obviously she was helping Jade win and retain the belt. Eventually Chris Statlander got that one-on-one match inside a steel cage where she defeated Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill, clearly furious about this, demanded her rematch, in which Chris Statlander refused. She said, "You don't deserve a title opportunity. The person that does deserve the title opportunity is the one that's been doing all the work, and that is Nyla Rose." So Chris Statlander, being the silly good guy that she is, gave Nyla Rose a title opportunity. And of course, Nyla, who has been in impeccable form, defeats Chris Statlander and wins the TBS Championship. Jade, thinking that Nyla is still her hired muscle, is like, "Oh, nice one, Nyla. How about you just hand the belt back to me and we'll forget this ever happened?" But Nyla realizes that she is far more, stronger, superior, better than Jade Cargill, and says, "No, how about you be the hired help for now?" And obviously Jade does not want that, so they cease to be a partnership. Nyla continues her dominant run, kind of just destroying everyone that she comes across, and Jade, really pissed off, wants this TBS title back. So she's saying, "I want a rematch. I never got my TBS title rematch, never got this, never got that, blah 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 blah." And eventually she was given an opportunity, which, to be fair, all credit to Jade, she did it the right way, I guess, in a battle royale, a 10 women battle royale, I believe it was, for the number one contendership at All Out to face Nyla Rose. And Jade Cargill beat the odds and she won the battle royale, claiming a number one contendership against Nyla Rose. So there's a nice little narrative here that's kind of flown under the radar, I think. And Jade, who has been, let's be honest, underwhelming this series. We know that she's better than that. She's got QT Marshall and Bryan Danielson as mentors. So over time, I think she's going to get really good. And she's also super young. So yeah, she's just going to get better. So this is Jade's chance to become a 2-time TBS champion. Yeah, so that's where we are with this match. Now we're moving on to the main card, and the opening match of the show is going to be the 6-way ladder match for the AEW TNT Championship. Now there hasn't been a great deal of build up with this one, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Takeshita won the TNT number one contendership tournament way back when and defeated Powerhouse Hobbs at Double or Nothing. Since then, Takeshita has kind of been here nor there. He's got kind of obligations in DDT where he's spent quite a lot of time, so sometimes when we want to use him, he hasn't been available, but he has remained our champion because he's been fit, healthy, able to do it. He comes in every now and then, has a title match, defends it, or just has a regular match, kills it. He's been a great champion, a great wrestler, someone who's got mad skills. And recently, Lance Archer won a battle royale because Takeshita was unable to compete due to an injury, but it wasn't an injury long enough to, keep him out for more than a month. So when Takeshita returned, he had to face Lance Archer in a very good match in which Takeshita retained. But during that time, a number of wrestlers who aren't exactly world title level just yet have kind of, been grumbling a little bit because there hasn't been that mid-card title to compete for. So after some discussions with Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone and some other people backstage, they built their own kind of list of wrestlers who they feel are deserving of an opportunity at the TNT title. And those wrestlers are, as you can see, Bandido, Cedric Alexander, Miro, Zack Sabre Jr. and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. So there was no qualification needed. They were just given this opportunity. And Takeshita, who, is probably a little bit pissed, has to defend his title against 5 different men in a single match, and on top of that, it's a ladder match. So that's how this one was built. And then since the announcement, there has been a number of matches. There's been single matches between all of these guys. And on the Go Home show, this previous show to this episode, we had a 6-man trios match where we had the faces, which was Takeshita, Bandido, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry against Cedric, Miro, and Zack Sabre Jr., in which the faces came out on top. So good momentum going into the show. Not much else to say about this. I honestly have no clue who could win this. Any one of these 6 guys could get the belt. So this should be a really exciting opening match. And I feel like a busybody multi-man ladder match is a great way to start any show. So yeah, looking forward to this one. Following this match though, we have the other Bullet Club Gold related match, and it is Jay White defending his AEW International Championship against the quote-unquote best in the world, or so he thinks, CM Punk. CM Punk returned shortly after, well, actually, from the brand split, I believe. I might have got that wrong, but he wasn't available straight away. And he made the case. He said he's not here to win championships. He's not here to, prove anyone else wrong. He's just here to prove to himself that he is the best in the world. He may not be the best in-ring wrestler anymore. He may not be the best on the mic anymore. He may not be the best backstage, but he believes that overall he is the best in the world. So during that time, he has been, winning matches, doing his thing, I guess. And then at Forbidden Door, he wanted to challenge himself against the best in the world, which is Kazuchika Okada. And unfortunately, he fell short. Since then, though, he has had a kind of crisis of confidence, I'd say, and also a crisis of purpose. So if he can't prove to himself that he's the best in the world, like what is he working towards? What's he aiming for? And when you put that out there, something's bound to arrive, and arrive it did in the form of Switchblade Jay White. So in the tag team qualification match that we mentioned in the Omos and Keith Lee fight, Jay White came in and attacked CM Punk, only CM Punk, to cost him that title opportunity, because CM Punk thought maybe my new purpose could be tag team gold with Jordan Omos, and White cost him of that. So CM Punk's focus, CM Punk's hatred, everything CM Punk was feeling became all about Jay White. Calling out Jay White multiple times, saying, "You've made an enemy out of me, which is a big mistake. I know what my new purpose is. It's taking you down, and through that, taking your international championship away from you." Jay White, though, not scared, not worried. In fact, he reveals that this was his plan all along. He wanted CM Punk's attention. He wanted to get a match with CM Punk because he knows how desperate CM Punk is to be the best, and he'll do anything to prove that he's the best. So I think in a very smart way, Jay White has added his own stipulation to this match, which you can see on screen now. He says, "Punk, if you're so confident that you're the best in the world, if you're so confident that you can beat me and take my title, how about we do this? If you win, you have my AEW International Championship, and I'll leave you be. You carry on, you hold the gold, you represent it, you be the face of the International Championship. But if you lose, CM Punk, then your new purpose is slightly different. A purpose that I will gift upon you because I am so kind. That purpose is to become a member of the Bang Bang Club, Bullet Club Gold." And without any hesitation, CM Punk just driven to, one, want to beat the face off of Jay White, and two, take his title from him, he accepts. So maybe CM Punk has got in too deep, but at the same time, he is, the best in the world, as he says. So this should be a very interesting match. And will there be Bullet Club involvement? Maybe. I mean, Keith Lee's occupied earlier in the show, so depending on how that goes, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, high stakes in this match. Jay White, if he loses, he's lost his championship. CM Punk, if he loses, he joins Jay White with Bullet Club Gold. Yeah, crazy. Let's follow this with one of my personal favourite matches of the night, and that is the shoot match between Melo and Paige VanZant. So Since the brand split, Paige VanZant, who wasn't even on the brands, if you go back to my brand split episode, she wasn't even listed on either roster. She was moved down to Ring of Honor in our developmental system. But through a balls up on my part, Madison Rain, I accidentally released instead of keep. And I didn't want the women's division to be unbalanced. So I threw Paige VanZant back up here. I was like, come on, you've done your 2 days of developmental. And since being on the main card, she has aligned herself with Chris Jericho, and they've become friends. The Friends of Jericho, with Jake Hager, of course. And I don't know whether it's having Jericho in her ear or the fact that she was sent back down to developmental that kind of got like a lit of fire inside her. But she's just been one hell of a monster. She has been destroying everyone in her path, really flexing that cage fighting, bare knuckle boxing, mixed martial arts background that she has, and just annihilating the competition left, right and centre. It hasn't led to a title opportunity, but we'll get to that. And Melo, who was a former member of Chris Jericho's JAS, has had a mixed bag of a series. She's had some wins, she's had some losses, more losses than wins, I believe. And I think seeing Paige VanZant's success has kind of made her jealous, but she's turned that jealousy into focus and started stringing wins together and starting to get that momentum. And Sammy's been working with her on her wrestling, and she's been getting better. And this again led to a potential title opportunity for both of these women. They both stated their case leading up to All Out and said, I am deserving of a women's world title. So what we did is we gave them both an opportunity, as well as other members on Collision, in a beat the clock challenge. So you win your match, whoever wins their match the fastest will become the number one contender for the AEW Women's World Champion, Hikaru Shida. As you can see, neither of these women won that beat the clock challenge, because Paige VanZant went first and won in 8 minutes, I believe, and Melo went the following week, and her match was cost because of Paige VanZant, who came in and attacked Toni Storm to give Toni Storm the win. So costing Melo of a championship opportunity. This pissed off Melo, so she's just been on an all-out assault ever since then, attacking Paige VanZant at any chance she gets, and Paige VanZant obviously not backing down and attacking her. There's been numerous times where Jericho and Guevara have got hurt trying to separate these two people, as well as our security team and others around the stadium. Because of this animosity, this has led to Paige VanZant obviously wanting to kind of get the slight advantage, you could say, by challenging Melo to a shoot match, which is essentially like a real fight, not a wrestling match, a fight. And as you can see on the page here, the match can only be won by submission or knockout. Basically UFC rules. Melo, who has a background in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, accepts, maybe blindly, who knows. And yeah, we've got this match set for All Out. Basically a real fight between Melo and Paige VanZant. Yeah, if I think this would be a great match in real life. Paige VanZant obviously hasn't wrestled in real life for a while, so everything I'm doing with her in AEW is just, awesome, because I think right now she's just living on OnlyFans. So yeah, who knows? But this will be a great match. Hopefully it does well. I've been working really hard on both of these people to kind of get them, give them momentum and just get the ball rolling with them. So we'll see what happens. Following this though, let's keep the ball rolling because we're not even halfway through. We have got the one-on-one Iron Man match between Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. We say one-on-one because it has been agreed that the Combat Club and any outside interference is strictly prohibited. This is just Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and no one else. It's a 30-minute time limit because 60 would just kill this card. And yeah, there's been ongoing tension and beef and maybe lack of respect, I'm going to say, because respect has been a big theme in this story. Bryan Danielson, formerly a member of the Blackpool Combat Club, which are now called the Combat Club because of Jon Moxley, they targeted Adam Cole. He was their next target because they didn't think he was a professional wrestler or an athlete. They thought he was just an entertainer. and AEW has no place for them. So that led to a huge match at Double or Nothing, I believe, where Adam Cole lost, but put in such a good effort that Bryan Danielson recognized, he is more than what we say he is, and showed some respect by shaking his hand and raising his hand at the end of the match. Now, this is something that Jon Moxley was not happy about. He does not want the Blackpool Combat Club to come across as soft in any way, and I think he just wants to be a bit of a bully, let's be honest. So he took real issue with that, called out Bryan Danielson, always happens, Bryan Danielson about this, and Bryan was just like, yo, chill your beans. Like, we're just giving credit where credit's due. And Jon Moxley's like, don't say we, it's you that's giving that credit. So, which led to a few weeks of tension between the two. Bryan Danielson started doing a, earn my respect challenge, where people would come out, challenge him to a match, and he would fight them, and post-match he would celebrate with them if he believed that they earned his respect, and he wouldn't if they didn't. 9 times out of 10, they did earn his respect. And again, this is something that Moxley wasn't happy with. The Blackpool Combat Club started to slowly divide because Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley both believed they were the leaders of the Blackpool Combat Club, and eventually this turned into an attack from Jon Moxley and a challenge, saying, hey, how about you earn my respect, which led to a match between Danielson and Moxley, which I can't even remember who won that. I think it was Moxley, and then I think they had a rematch, and then I think Danielson won. Honestly, there's so much happening, I really should have made notes, but the tension has continued and it hasn't ended, so much so that Jon Moxley kicked Bryan out of the Combat Club, the newly named Combat Club by Jon Moxley. Claudio and Wheeler stuck with Jon, so Bryan is out on his own, and he was being targeted week after week by the Combat Club. Eventually, Bryan brought in his own help, in the form of Zack Sabre Jr., one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, kind of very similar to Bryan Danielson, and the two of them took on the Combat Club, but that didn't last very long, because it turns out Zack Sabre Jr. was secretly a member of the Combat Club all along, turning on Bryan Danielson and attacking him too. So the issues are obviously with the entire Combat Club, but it's all led by and dictated by the bully that is Jon Moxley. So eventually there's this huge fallout, and the two of them challenge each other and agree to a match one-on-one. They said, this beef, these issues are between us, and we are going to sort this out. They've had one too many back and forths. They're both sick of each other. They're both sick of wrestling each other. So Moxley set a challenge one-on-one. Let's just see who the alpha is. Iron Man match, most falls wins, as you know. And after this match, we're done. So they've kind of, in a mature way, agreed with each other that once this match is done, they are done with each other. The Combat Club go their way, Bryan goes his way. Oh, and also, during all of this, Brie Garcia, so Bryan Danielson's wife, Brie, has debuted for AEW. Because, she was like, can't have him all on his own. So I don't know who's got the child, but or the children. I think he's got 2 now, hasn't he? I'm going off track. But yeah, so one-on-one, this is the final time we will see Bryan and Jon Moxley in the ring, unless, of course, there's any title matches or, tournaments or anything in the future. But this is the final time that they choose to face each other. So, who's your money on, guys? It's going to be exciting. Following this, though, this is an easy one to breeze through. We've got the FTW World Championship Challenge. To cut a long story short, Christian essentially stole the title from Taz and Hook, in which Taz and Hook stole it back. And then they had a match at Double or Nothing, and the winner of that match would receive full ownership. A contract was written up, full ownership of the FTW World Championship. And Christian came out on top, meaning that he owns the title. During that time, so from then up until now, Christian has worked closely with Tony Khan to make the FTW World Championship a legitimate belt in the company. But there are stipulations involved. The only way that you can challenge Christian for the FTW World title is to defeat Luchasaurus. So you must challenge Luchasaurus, defeat him, and then you have your title match with Christian. What he failed to tell people, though, is as soon as you beat Luchasaurus, you then have to face Christian immediately afterwards. So it's 2 matches in order to get to this belt. Only one man has got through Luchasaurus so far, and that was at Forbidden Door with Jeff Cobb. And Jeff Cobb found a loophole in this that the contract stated, once you beat Luchasaurus, you can have a title match against Christian. It did not say that you had to beat Luchasaurus again to earn that title match. So Jeff Cobb managed to get a rematch with Christian in which Luchasaurus got involved and defeated him. So Christian has since altered that contract and has announced, like he does every now and then, that the FTW World Championship Challenge will be on at All Out, an open challenge to anyone who wants to step up and face Luchasaurus and him should they defeat Luchasaurus. So who are you guessing? Who's it going to be? Have a think. Anyone that has featured in this series so far could be the one, or it could be someone new. Yeah, bit of mystery, a little bit of mystery right in the middle of the show. Following this one is a huge match. I think this is our longest running story, and it is Sting versus Darby Allin. So the former best friends, former mentor and mentee, Darby Allin was our first world championship contender against MJF, and with Sting by his side, it looked like he was set to become the new world champion. But through lots of miscommunications and accidental botches and Sting, trying to be the main character, according to Darby Allin, they've slowly grown apart and they've slowly fallen apart, and this has just turned to hatred, mostly from Darby Allin's side, because Darby Allin feels that Sting has been trying to steal his limelight, steal his momentum, and prevent him from becoming the world champion. Sting, on the other hand, believes that a lot of it is just down to unfortunate circumstances, and that Darby Allin has grown to become ungrateful for everything Sting has done for him, and this has led to a very aggressive Darby Allin who just wants Sting gone, like completely out of AEW, completely out of his life, and this has upset Sting. And Sting was like, I'm not going to be able to reason with you, so how about we settle this the old-fashioned way with a grudge match? And Darby Allin has radio silence for weeks. You hear nothing from Darby Allin. He doesn't respond to Sting, doesn't answer his calls, doesn't answer his... Sting comes to the ring multiple occasions calling out Darby Allin, and we hear nothing. Eventually, Darby Allin returns and says that he accepts Sting's challenge, but under one rule. If Sting loses, he must retire from professional wrestling. And that's not just retire from AEW, that's retire from professional wrestling, full stop. He says, I don't want to see you wrestling in any ring, in any arena, anywhere in the world ever again. I want you gone. And Sting accepts. Sting's in his 60s now, so retiring might not be the worst idea, but he wants to go out, he wants to defeat Darby Allin. I think he wants to teach this kid a lesson about respect and about, the legend that is Sting. So yeah, this should be a fierce battle between Sting and Darby Allin, and very excited to see how this goes down. Sting has been working hard in the gym. I've seen him. He's in impeccable shape. He's doing very, very well, and Darby Allin's really good at kickflips. So who knows? Following this match is one that has quite little heat. This is one of the ones that kind of like the opening match. There's not much heat in this one, so nice and easy breezy. It is our 4-way Mayhem AEW World Tag Team Championship match. Our champions, the Lucha Brothers, will be facing FTR, Los Ingobernables, and the Best Friends. Lucha Brothers have just been unreal since becoming tag team champions. I don't know what it is, but Rey Fenix and Penta just put on top match after top match after top match. Like, they seem to be like Mr. and Mr. Reliable when it comes to the tag division lately. Rey Fenix especially has been unreal, and it's paid off because they won the championships and they've held the championships for a decent amount of time. They've defeated a number of great contenders, so much so that our tag division has grown quite considerably since the earlier days of our save, which means there have been more challenges, which also means it's hard to define just one team to challenge them because they've been so great. So what we've done is we had a series of 3-way tag team matches to decide who would be in this match. So that's a total of 9 teams that we've had to get down to 3 to get in this. This is obviously the match that kickstarted the Bullet Club Gold Punk rivalry, because the best friends were in that match and came out on top thanks to the involvement from Jay White. FTR won their match, fairly convincingly. The same with Los Ingobernables, and no credit to, or actually full credit to best friends, who have been very good as well. So yeah, just a straight up normal number 1 contenders against the World Tag Team Champions. It should be a very exciting affair. Let's move on. Oh, I should have bought a drink. The next match is a good old street fight with Rami Sebei, not Remy, Rami Sebei, formerly known as Sami Zayn, facing off against Samoa Joe, who is a veteran in the ring and in Ring of Honor / AEW, but he did not begin the save with us. He was slumming it in Ring of Honor. That's harsh on Ring of Honor. They're great. But Rami debuted quite recently, to be fair. He debuted maybe a month or 2 ago after us managing to sign him over the summer, because for some reason WWE just didn't want him anymore. So he came in, and he came in high. Fresh off of Forbidden Door when MJF defeated Will Ospreay. Spoilers. Will Ospreay said he's untouchable. No one in AEW can beat him. No one on the current roster, wink wink, can beat him. And who would debut to answer that kind of challenge was Rami Sebei. And in doing so, Rami Sebei earned himself a number 1 contenders match against MJF and Hangman Adam Page in a 3-way match. On the night of that match, Rami Sebei was unable to compete because a mystery person had attacked him from behind and beaten him so bad he could not compete that evening. Because of that, he didn't get his world title shot, and there were a number of weeks where Rami was just trying to find out who attacked him and also recover so that he could get his promised title match. He finally got his title match, in which he lost, unfortunately, in a 90 rated match though, which was insane. And shortly after, Samoa Joe returned, attacking Rami Sebei and revealing that he was the attacker all along. His reasons were that he hated the fact that Rami just walked in and demanded a top guy slot, demanded to be a main eventer, demanded that world title shot, because he came from a bigger company, so he should get special treatment. And Samoa Joe said that's not how it works here, that's not how it works anywhere. So he wanted to teach him a lesson and knock him back down to the bottom. And over the last few weeks, they've kind of been trading shots, trading fights, and trying to take each other out post-match. And it all came to boil when Joe tried to attack Rami, and Rami managed to completely evade the attack and kind of make a fool out of Joe, in which the following week Joe came out and issued a challenge to Rami. But before he could even issue that challenge, Rami, you could say, embarrassed him further, because he interrupted the promo and just says, Joe, I know what you're going to say, and I accept, but it's going to be a street fight. So Rami, kind of taking the heat off of Joe, which, just angers him even more. Why would you do that? So that is how this match came to be. Street fight, Rami Sebei, Samoa Joe. Rami wants revenge on everything Joe's done to him up until now. And I think Joe just wants to beat more sense into Rami. So yeah, should be fun. A huge, all-out brawl this is going to be. Yeah, exciting. We're near the end. We've got 3 more matches, which I'd say are probably the 3 biggest. Well, not 3 biggest. Sorry, 2 biggest, I'd say. But they're all big matches, let's be honest. The next match is bizarre, especially if you're coming in now. You're going to be like, what the hell is this? It is the Elite facing the New Wave in a lethal lockdown cell. So first of all, lethal lockdown is basically a hell in a cell, or just a giant cage, but around the cage and hanging from the cage are weapons. So that could be chairs, kendo sticks, barbed wire bats, ladders, tables, you name it. It's hanging all around the cage, and they're all legal, and they're all, meant to be used. The Elite, of course, they don't need any explanation. You can see the Elite. You can see Kota as well has returned. Awesome. The New Wave, they're a new team. You're probably wondering, who are they if this is your first episode? The New Wave are a recently-ish formed team of, the brightest up-and-coming stars of AEW. But this feud all started way before that, when Ricky Starks somehow landed himself a place in the Elite, or as we like to call them, the temporary Elite, because Kenny wanted to go for the trios belts, but for some reason didn't want to go with the Young Bucks. So him, Hangman Adam Page, and Ricky Starks formed a brief team in which they lost. And because of that, the blame was put on Ricky Starks, and he was kicked out of the temporary Elite. This lit a fire in Ricky Starks, and he decided that Kenny Omega was enemy number one. And during this time, Daniel Garcia was slowly peeling himself away from the JAS, getting win after win after win on Rampage, and then managed to get himself a world title opportunity through the Casino Battle Royale at Double or Nothing, proving that he is a star. Swerve Strickland is a star in his own right, putting on great matches 24/7, and Mercedes Moné doesn't need any explanation. She's a star. During a match with Kenny Omega and Daniel Garcia came out on top thanks to Ricky Starks and Swerve Strickland attacking Kenny, which confused a lot of us. We were thinking, what are these guys doing out here? Turns out, backstage, they'd been forming their own group called the New Wave, which is, I'd say, led by Mercedes Moné, but also kind of co-led by Daniel Garcia. And since then, they have just been targeting the Elite left, right, and center. And the problem with that is if you make an enemy out of the Elite, they then target you. So there's been a bunch of back and forth between these guys. The New Wave believe that they're the new face of AEW, and the Elite, being the Elite, believe that they are, because they are effectively the face of all Elite wrestling. But the New Wave don't like that, and the New Wave want that to change because they think that AEW deserves better, and the Elite think that AEW don't need the New Wave because they're these new kids that think they're all that when they're not. So this led to a best of 3 challenge, in which it was a tag team match, trios match, and a singles match. Whichever faction got the most wins out of those 3 get back bragging rights. So the first match was a tag team match. It was the Young Bucks facing Ricky Starks and Swerve, in which the Young Bucks won. So that's 1-0 to the Elite. The second match was a trios match between Kenny and the Bucks and Daniel Garcia, Ricky Starks, and Swerve Strickland, in which the New Wave got the win. So that's 1 apiece. The following week would be the final match, round 3 of 3 in singles competition, which we all believed would be Kenny Omega against Daniel Garcia, the match that kicked off this rivalry. But in very surprise history-making circumstances, it was in fact Mercedes Moné who stepped up to face Kenny Omega and defeated Kenny Omega in the main event, which I believe was like an 80 or 81 rate match, which was awesome. There was external involvement from both sides during that match, and that means that the New Wave had won and earned their bragging rights. So they thought it was all over. They were like, cool, we're done with the Elite. And to celebrate, Daniel Garcia said that he is now cashing in his world title opportunity against MJF. So the following week, Daniel Garcia had his world title match and lost, thanks to involvement from Kenny Omega. And then this just sparked the rivalry off again. They started brawling and fighting any which way they could. Obviously, there is a numbers advantage from the New Wave. So Kenny brought back Kota Ibushi, who's more than happy to kick a few heads, even if they are lady heads. And they, in turn, cost Mercedes Moné her IWGP Women's Championship recently as well. So that fire has been further lit. So Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone, and everyone else decided there's only one way to solve this, and it is a lethal lockdown match. So get everything on the table, lay all your cards down, try and kill each other, and be done with it. So this is how we got here to this match. It's super exciting. It's probably not going to do well because of all the chaos that's going to ensue, and because it's a super stacked card. But this is happening, and at the time of recording, Nick Jackson, I believe, is injured. He is still able to compete, but it will impact his performance. So we're going to make a call on the night if he is fit to compete or not. If not, then a replacement will be found. Kenny will have to find a replacement. But I can't imagine Nick not wanting to be a part of this match. So yeah, that's that. Let's move on to our penultimate match, which has been, like, I hate to say it, it's been placed here just to calm the crowd a little bit, because we don't want the crowd to be buzzing their tits off for 4 hours, because they're just going to die by the end. And it is our AEW Women's World Championship match. Hikaru Shida facing the number 1 contender, Athena. So Athena got here by winning the Beat the Clock challenge we mentioned earlier that involved Melo and Paige VanZant also. She won her match, I believe, in 5 minutes. So she was well ahead of everyone else and got the championship match. Since then, not much has happened between these two guys. It's just a straightforward women's title match. Athena, Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker turned on Jamie Hayter earlier in the series because Jamie Hayter was being, according to them, incredibly selfish and only thinking about herself, in which Hikaru Shida always had Britt's back and Britt had Hikaru. So they turned on Jamie, which led to Hikaru getting a world title opportunity and winning. And since then, they haven't looked back. They've beaten a number of other people, and yeah, Hikaru has Britt Baker in her side, so I think she's probably got the advantage in this match. But Athena is no one to shake a stick at. She is a former Ring of Honor Women's Champion, because she's not champion anymore. Mai Saruga, I believe, is someone that I hired for the Ring of Honor developmental and managed to beat her somehow. So yeah, not much else to say about this one. Let's jump to our main event of the evening, and of course it is the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, MJF versus Hangman Adam Page. This match I'm very excited about because MJF recently has been putting in the numbers, and Adam Page is Mr. Consistent. He puts in great numbers also, so the two of them should hopefully put on one hell of a match. MJF has had an interesting ride so far in this season. He's not wrestled as much as he probably could have, although in recent weeks he's been pulling out all the stops, match to match, like back to back to back. But he has been a fighting champion, and while he may not win in the fairest of ways every time, he gets the win. And in all honesty, that's all that matters. He's gold on the mic. He's definitely the face of the company right now, or the heel of the company right now. And he does, in a way, feel unstoppable. He always manages to find a way to win, to avoid a match, to avoid losses, or even lose but still retain. Hangman Page, though, kind of a forgotten man at the beginning of the series. He wasn't really anywhere to be seen. He was having the odd matches with random people, but there was no story behind it. He then got sucked back into the Elite, where the whole Ricky Starks thing happened, and then the draft happened, and Hangman Page was sent to Dynamite while the rest stayed on Collision. And I think that's the best thing that happened to him. Even he said he didn't want to be part of all of the Elite stuff again. He wants to do his own thing. He wants to be like a Lone Ranger. And since then, he's been putting on great matches and earning his opportunities. We then had a number 1 contenders match a couple of weeks or months ago, in which he was in that match with Remy Sebei and MJF. Remy obviously attacked by Joe, so Hangman Page had his one-on-one opportunity against MJF, which unfortunately he came short. But he wasn't done. He said that once he got that taste, he needed to get the whole thing. So he was out there again, killing it with matches, defeating, great opponents. And MJF said, "You've had your chance, bud. You're not having a second chance. Why would I waste my time on you?" During all of this, Hangman Page had a really, really great match with Bandido. And Bandido started to take a shine to the Hangman. So much so that Bandido ended up kind of, quote-unquote, becoming Adam Page's partner. I'd say like tag team partner. They've had a couple of matches together. They've supported each other a number of times. And Bandido stood up for Hangman against against MJF. Sorry, I've got Adam written on the screen, so it just happens. And Bandido challenges MJF and says, "If I beat you, you have to give my amigo Adam Page another world title opportunity." in which MJF very confidently says, yeah, okay, sure. So that match was set, and somehow Bandido pulled off the win. Adam Page came out to ringside because MJF was, cheating. He evened the odds, and Bandido rolled up MJF for a 1-2-3. Adam Page got his world title opportunity. And since then, we've been learning a lot about Adam Page, the person, his time in AEW, his story, and how this is going to be the cherry on top when he wins. If he wins, we're going to have to say that because it's never a guarantee, the World Championship. MJF, though, incredibly obsessive over this championship. I can't see him dropping the Triple B easily or anytime soon if it's down to him. So yeah, this is going to be a huge match, and being the season finale, it could be the catalyst to a completely different AEW post All Out. So yeah, I think I've spoken enough. This video is probably a lot longer than I wanted it to be, but that's our card. That's the order. Please let me know what you think is going to happen at All Out. It's the next episode. I'm probably going to be recording it in the next day or so after this video is done. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Super excited. I've really enjoyed recording this series. This isn't the end of the series, obviously. This is just our quote-unquote season finale. And we'll be back with an episode number 26, which will be kind of our season 2. And we'll just continue from there. So thank you very much, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your predictions down below. And I'll see you all at All Out. Bye.